All right, so today we'll study in general about mobile technology. Okay, and in the next class we'll see how mobile technology is being used for digital transformation. But today's lecture is primarily on the technology because I know that uh, even CS students are not taught about mobile technology, and this is the most important communication technology today, right? I mean, in terms of course, internet is the one, but internet is also carried over mobile, right? In fact, l- large number of people, actually maximum number of people, are first introduced to internet by mobile. Okay, so mobile technology is one of the foundation, along with of course internet, for digital transformation. Okay, how organizations are becoming digital and how they start doing digital business, mobile technology plays a major role. Even look at very small businessmen, I mean, say a street hawker, for example, or your grocery store guy. Even they are effectively using mobile for their business. For example, we have a grocery shop, a local grocery kirana shop, and he is available on WhatsApp. Okay, and whatever I want, I just send a requirement to the person on WhatsApp, and he delivers it. Okay, and then charges are done. I mean, whatever money I have to pay, I pay it through some mechanism, like I paid through Paytm or some other mechanism, right? So mobile now look at that, even very small business, how mobile really plays a role. Okay, so let's look into the technology today. We'll look into technology. What constitutes mobile technology? What is the basic thing? How can we say this is a mobile technology, something is not non-mobile technology? Okay, and feel free to ask questions because many of you know basic concepts because we have been using this. Okay, all right. Uh, okay, so these are the topics we'll cover. So question is again, why should we know about mobile technology? Because this is the technology we are using, and this is one of the very important technology for digital transformation or any business in future. Okay, all right, so we will look into technology this time, how it works and so on, right? How a mobile phone works at very gross or top level, because this is very complex technology, and in fact that's the reason it's not being taught in many places, right? And it's very evolving technology. Okay, now let's look at the motivation. Mobile phone has become part of our lives. I mean, we can't think of a normal day without a mobile phone, okay, or mobile device. That was not so 25 years back. When I first bought my mobile phone, it costed 80,000 rupees, and per minute charges were close to 80 rupees per minute within India. Okay, these were very expensive technologies. It was just about 25 years back, and today we have a handset, a mobile handset in hand, and that costs less than $100. Okay, or maybe 5,000 rupees, and phones are just free for whatever I was paying for a minute. you know Almost same amount, maybe double that amount, 150 rupees or so, I can manage the whole month's mobile calling, and even if I want to call hours, I can do that. And in fact, I can make video calls for hours to place in any place in the world for almost free, using of course IP or mobile, right? So there's the power today. Okay, so they have, as a result of that, mobiles have become part and parcel of our lives, and I can't think of spending a day even without mobile phone. That's the reason, and note that earlier phones, PSTN phone, were a non-personal phone, right? We call these as a personal phone. Okay, mobiles are personal. It's not shared by a number of people in home, right? While PSTN phones were shared by a number of people at home. Did you notice that? Why is so? Anybody?
Sir, your voice broke for last.
Okay, so the question is that is it audible?
Yes, sir. Now it's good.
Okay, the question is that mobile phones were see, mobile phone is a personal phone, right? While PSTN phone, ordinary BSNL kind of phone, those are non-personal phone. One family had just one pot phone or a PSTN kind of phone. While mobile phones are personal, every person in home will have one mobile phone. Why that is so?
Sir, I mean, with the technological advancement, I mean, things have become comparatively cheaper, and we are getting used to luxury. And the most important reason is now, I mean, easy to access. I mean, everything is accessible.
Yes. Okay, so you are right. I mean, the first thing is that you can carry it. It's mobile in the sense that earlier PSTN phone was attached to one through cable to some socket in home, right? So it's non-movable. So, and there was no personal information coming into that. While mobile phones you can carry, so it's individualized. Okay, a lot of personal stuff happens over there, right? And of course, as you rightly mentioned, it's cheap. You can afford it, right? So this has become very important part of our lives. Okay, so this is maximally used communication technology in the world. In fact, number of connections in the world, number of connections, I'm talking of number of connections in the world is more than the number of people on earth. Okay. However, 81%, it means that some people may have multiple connections. Okay, like I have about 3 connections, mobile connections for myself. However, 81% people on the globe in plan on Earth have mobile phone. It means that this is the and 25 years back there was almost like not even 0.01%. Okay, so there's a power. This is the power of technology that you can reach to almost everyone in the world. Okay, in fact, there sometimes back about 20 years back, I worked on technology for satellite phones, how to develop satellite phones, right? And midway when the technology was developed, the project was scrapped because that time thinking was that in remote part of the world, like for example on Himalayas or some other places, mobile phone will never reach. And within 3 years, so happened that they realized that mobile phones are reaching even on the top of Himalayas, or everywhere there is a reach of mobile phone. So there was very little use of that satellite phone, right? So, and has that shows how fast mobile phones have, covered the world, or mobile phones have reached different parts of the world. When we say mobile phone, you can carry mobile phone anywhere. But when I say mobile phones have reached, it means that the coverage, their usability, they can be used anywhere in the world. It means that signals are available and you can make a phone call or receive a phone call. And third thing is that the costs have reduced. I mean, in fact, I'm buying every 2 years a new mobile phone at almost half the cost of previous one, right? So of course, Moore's law is applicable here too. But at the same time, technology is improving very fast, and cost, of course, is dropping, and that's the reason mobile phones are becoming popular. So almost everyone can afford it today. Okay, and as we already have discussed, this mobile phone today is not a mobile phone alone. Is a computer, very powerful computer that also does voice call along with hundreds of other applications. It can do video processing, it can do video call, it can be used for transaction processing, banking, finance, navigation, and so on. There are thousands of use of mobile phone because it's a computer that can also be used for phone calls, and also it is based on mobile technology. Okay, and we know that mobile and internet is killer technology for digital transformation. So it's like a magic, you ask your grandfather, they would just, roll yourself back 40 years back. Nobody would imagine that you can make a phone call to anyone whenever you want, anyone on the earth, whenever you want. On I remember, I used to struggle even when I was doing PhD, making a phone call from Delhi to my hometown. I mean, I had to go to post office and make a phone call and so on and so forth. It was extremely complex. Okay, now you can do phone call to anybody in the world. If you are lucky to have, great grandfather, please ask them how difficult it was. Okay, but is it not a magic that, today I am here in Bangalore, tomorrow I will be in Goa, for example, after 2 days I will be in New York, and I use the same mobile phone, and somebody calls me, my neighbor calls me, my phone, the call will come also to New York. How does the whole thing work? What is the technology that my calls are reaching anywhere in the world and network will be able to find out where I am? This is the beauty, right? And this is the power of mobile communication or cellular communication, that the person can be reached at any point in time, anywhere in the world. And that's one beauty. And second beauty is a person from anywhere in the world where the network is can call anybody else in the world where the person, anywhere the person can be, right? How does network know where I am? I'm in Bangalore, or maybe in Goa, or in New York, or maybe in South Africa. How does it know? So let's learn a little bit about how phone works. Okay, first thing is that when we say mobile, when we are talking about full mobility, we are not talking about partial mobility or limited mobility. So for example, we have Wi-Fi system, okay, in homes and or departments or offices, where, nowadays very few companies use cables that come to the desk, person's working desk, and then connects Ethernet cable, right? Most of the laptops are connected over Wi-Fi, and then you can take the laptop, keep moving around. Like, mobile phone, if connected to Wi-Fi at home, it remains connected to Wi-Fi and keep within a home where my network coverage is, I can roam around. So that's limited mobility. Similarly, Bluetooth gives us a limited mobility. I can remain connected to my laptop, or my headphones remain connected to my mobile phone, and then I can move within home or something, right? So these gives us very limited mobility. But moment I go out of my house, then this connectivity is lost. So we are not talking about that. So we are talking about full mobility, unlimited mobility. It means that wherever I go in the world, I am I will continue to receive my phone calls. Okay. So we are talking about the cellular networks in particular. Okay, like GSM, LTE. Now we have 5G, and of course we had 3G in between. Okay, so we are talking about this cellular, like your Airtel provides you this cellular network, or Vodafone provides you cellular network in India. And now we have Reliance that's also providing cellular communication. Okay, any question up to this point?
No, sir.
Hmm. Why do you call it cellular? Okay, let's look into it.
So,
Yeah,
so maybe because like the towers are divided in cells. So maybe.
yeah, that's fine. So towers, very good. But why do you call it cell then? And what is the use of cell?
that I do.
Yeah, it's for communication. Let's look into it, right? So, of course, mobile phones have evolved. And the first phone was something like this old gentleman is holding. Um, okay, and of course, I have never used it because in India, this era was never there. Okay, or the only in AMTS or first generation mobile phone, zero generation mobile phone were like this. It was like you'll have to take mobile phone in a briefcase. Okay, and they were designed only for phone communication, voice communication. Okay, and these were called bricks. Okay, and then today, of course, we have evolved that we have mobile phones is very small in size, very lightweight, and not very expensive. It's a very powerful computer, and it can run millions of applications. Note that out of millions of applications, voice is just one application. That's the power today, right? Okay, so let's look at the basics of cellular communication. Okay, it's based on wireless technology, and obviously it's based on radio technology. Some of you are from electrical engineering will know what radio communication is, but otherwise most of you have used this technology. Like AM FM radio signals that you get is also radio signal. Radar that we use, airports use, is also a radio communication. Sonar system that you use within sea to for to find out any object is also a radio communication system. Okay, and we use it in many applications. Okay, uh, so what radio waves are nothing but electromagnetic waves which you have studied in school, and your device, now we are talking mobile, generates and receives radio signals. All right, it generates radio signals and receives radio signals both. Okay, and radio signals are available. For example, when a phone call is being made to you and you are receiving radio signals, those signals are available in the whole vicinity, the one which you are receiving. Okay, all right, and there is a frequency range, right, for which which is used for different purposes, right? So this is a logarithmic scale, so you can see that there's a frequency range of high frequency, very high frequency, medium frequency, ultra high frequency, and so on, right? Some, for example, some are used for AM radio broadcast, some are used for FM radio broadcast, some are used for television. Like you remember, there were television signals used to come through antenna, right? Still, that can be used, and your that so some frequency range are used for that. Some are reserved for military purpose only, and so on. So radio cell phones are given a frequency band. Okay, and different operators are given different frequency bands for different regions. Okay, Airtel will have used different frequency band than Vodafone, then uh, Geo, etc. Right, and then these are expensive because operators have to buy this from government. Actually, what they are buying nothing. It's all air, right? But this frequency ranges, they are allowed to use these frequency ranges. That's it. Okay, now there is it means that some band is given, okay, for use. So Airtel is given certain frequency range. Now all over India they have to use this frequency ranges, right? Okay, so this is another view of different frequencies and how they are used. For example, VLF is used for navigation. For radio signals, something is used here. For satellite communication, we use here, and something is there for mobile. Okay, like here, some frequency range is there for mobile. All right, so okay, this is another view. So now let's come to the concept. Cell is something that's shown here. It is area covered, okay, for a given set of frequencies. Okay, so it means that the certain set of frequencies are going to be used here, and we'll use an antenna for transmission of those frequency ranges, and then there'll be users all over within that within this range here. They can receive and communicate through this antenna on a set of frequencies. Okay, and there is another tower here, and the another set of frequencies are used here, and so on. Okay, and these towers are in turn connected to switching centers, which you call it MSC, and different terminology we use. We also call it BSC. We'll study that. Okay, and then finally they are interconnected. One MSC will be connected to another MSC switching center, and then overall world these are connected. Okay, from different operators will also interconnect their networks. Like your Airtel networks will be connected to Geo network, will also be connected to Vodafone networks, and then maybe also connected to PSTN network. Okay, so this is the way. So one frequency range, small frequency range, and there is always, how much distance this frequency range can be used. That defines cell area. If you use very powerful signal, then range will be bigger. If you use limited power, then range will be smaller. Okay, that's the concept. Any question? So around your house, if you see, you can see some towers, right, where there are antennas. That antenna within some range, that is at the center of the cell, and within some range, say 200 meter or 400 meter, 500, depending on the design, the coverage will be. Okay? So area is divided into cells. Each cell is served by own antenna. So there are, let's assume that this is the area of Goa, and this is the cell. Okay, and there is antenna here. So there's a cell and there's antenna. So basically, antenna signal can reach to cell boundaries, or maybe go little further away from cell boundaries. Okay, it means that adjacent cells will have some overlapped area, but very small. Okay, it is served by base station consisting of transmitter, receiver, and control unit. Something that is here is called base station. Base station is there that you see. If you look around and you see a antenna, that is nothing but base station. Okay, okay, and certain channels attached to each cell. It means that this, let's assume this belongs to a operator called, say, Airtel. Then certain frequency band of frequency are allocated that can be reached within the cell. Okay, all right. And we use multiple low power transmitters. So basically this is not very high power transmitter. These are relatively low power transmitter, because if you use high power transmitter, signals will go for lot of distance, and it may cause problems. It may cause disturbances unnecessary in adjacent cells. Okay, all right. So basically cell setup such that antennas of all neighbors are approximately equidistant. Okay, so sometimes we form a hexagonal like something here. So this shows you coverage of a cell. Okay, but in actual practice, because of various reasons, just a minute. Hello, hello. अभी just hold on. अभी आधे घंटे बात करें. Hello, yeah. Okay, so we are back. So this is the cell concept of cell. Okay. The concept of cell is as follows. Why do we create cells at all? We create cell because your frequency range that's available to say Airtel or Vodafone is limited. Okay, all right. And then we cannot, if the range is too much, then we cannot reuse these frequencies. Okay, now in this method, what we can use, do that one frequency that is used in current cell can be used after a few cells away. Say for example, here F2 frequency, here frequency range can be used in this cell here. Say F5 can be used in the cell here. Okay, and so on. Now, what happens is that what should be this distance between say two cells where same frequency range is being used? It should be distant enough such that frequency of one cell does not reach the other cell. Only then we can reuse the frequencies. Now, if we can reuse the frequencies, of course, we can support a large number of users in that. Okay. So, because of frequency reuse, we can create the cellular structure. All right. Any question? Any question on this one? Any doubt? Hello.
No, sir.
All right. So cellular system has advantage that they are very high capacity. Now, if you reduce the size of cell, then you can support large number of users. Okay, we'll see how. Okay, so high capacity, less transmission power, because transmission power of antenna should only be limited to reach the cell boundary. And secondly, your mobile also cannot emit very strong signal because it should go only up to the tower where antenna is, receiving antenna is, right? Otherwise, your signal that you are going from mobile phone will disturb, adjacent cell frequencies and so on. Okay, and then mobile setup can be done in very little time in compared to PSTN phones where the line has to be physically brought in from the exchange to your home. Sometimes these lines are kilometers long. Then this is very expensive. In fact, PSTN one line to provide one line, Government of India used to spend about 50,000 rupees, just about 25-30 years back. Okay. Another great advantage of cellular communication is the cell size can change. Okay, depending on workload, cell size can change, right? Okay, and then there is a great fault tolerance, right? I mean, if some component goes back, then adjacent cell can start receiving signals from from uh, users in previous cell, and so a lot of fault tolerant mechanism, reliability mechanisms can be built in. However, it requires handover. We'll see what handover is. We also call it handoff. Okay, but however, this requires frequency planning should be good because spectrum is expensive. So this shows how cell size are in a rural and urban system, right? In urban, a place like say Bangalore, there are within a kilometer where I live, there must be about with 20,000, maybe 50,000 people. Okay, the complex where I live has 1,000 families, must have 5,000 people, 4,000 people. Within say 500 meters, 1 kilometer, less than 1 kilometer radius. Wherein if you go to Goa, where IIT is, then uh, population density is low, so there are less number of people. So the cell size there can be little bigger, like here. Okay, because now I have certain set of frequencies, but I want to cover large number of people. Then my cell size has to be very small in big cities like Delhi or New York or Bangalore. Okay, because I can reuse the frequency within say 300 meters or 400 meters and so on, or sometimes a half kilometer. Okay, so I can cover more people by frequency reuse, but my cell size will be smaller. So the antenna on tower should emit signals which are comparatively of less power And similarly, my mobile phone should also know I am not in Goa, I am in Bangalore. So the power of my signals has also be very less. Okay. So factors that determine the cell size, number of users to be supported, the multiplexing and transmission technologies. All right. And this technology has changed from 0G to 5G. 5G is something, 5th generation is something that is going to be rolled out. Right now, all of us are using 4G, or some of us maybe also using 3G. Okay. For example, Geo is just pure 4G system, right? Similarly, Airtel has moved into 4G, but also supports 3G in certain areas. Vodafone has 3G in many areas. In fact, they also might have 2G in some areas. Okay. So today we are in 4 LTE, which is long-term evolution, which is 4G, but we are moving towards 5G. So let's look at these technologies. Okay, in very brief. So this chart, this diagram shows how technology has moved from 1G to 5G. 5G is rolled out in certain parts of the world, and India is going to roll out in next 1 year. 1G was technology based on amps and so on. This was mainly analog. In India, we never seen this, right? I mean, uh, we never had analog mobile phone. We started with GSM and the 2G. Okay, so this is a digital voice, while 1G was analog voice, and then there was no data in the beginning. When there was something called 2.5G, is not shown here in this diagram, then GPRS came into play, and then GPRS evolved into Edge, that evolved into CDMA1, and then we had digital voice. It means the voice was converted into digital signals, and digital signals were communicated. And the data was just introduced, separate data channels for internet, and then speed was very low. Okay, and as you move to 3G, here technology improved. What you see here, CDMA and EVDO, is basically modulation technologies that we are not going to discuss here. But one great thing happened is that mobile broadband was introduced, or internet bandwidth increased. Okay, and then came 4G that we are using now. Okay, in 4G, what we see is that everything is digital and everything happens over internet. It means that the voice communication, you make a phone call to your friend over mobile, and there is the same channel that is being used for data communication, that for voice. So basic carrier for that is internet. So what you do is actually voice over internet call or voice over IP call. Okay, so basic network underneath is one, while in 3G there were two networks, one for voice, one for data. And 5G is has certain great things, like it has very high speed internet, low latency. Latency means a delay, end-to-end delays are controlled, and is for IoT system, for machine to machine communication. Okay, all right. Okay, up, just a minute. Okay, any question? All right. So this gives another view of how mobiles have evolved from 1G in 1980s to 5G, which is 2020s. Okay, initially it was analog voice, no internet connection, no data, 0 kbps, it means no data. There was only one network for voice. Then came 2G. I'm sure you would have seen this kind of phone. It's a Nokia phone, which I worked on this phone. Okay, and it was 1990s. There was voice communication, taste was digital communication. There was no internet. Uh, okay, and then data speed. Of course, there was a data communication, but not internet. Okay, and it was 114 kbps. Okay, and we call this technology as GSM, and this became most popular communication technology. Okay, from that came was 2.5G, where a data communication channel was introduced called GPRS. I'm sure you would have heard this term also. And from them that came 3G, where internet came into play now. You can see www, the voice was digital, and the internet speed became 2 Mbps. And there were two networks in mobile that supported mobile communication. One was data communications network, another was voice communication network. Both were different. Okay. And when we move to 4G, we see there was only one network underneath network, that was internet. Okay, one network for IP and everything happened over that. It means there's no separate network for voice. And then we can see internet speed increased to 300 Mbps and we had voice over IP. So most of the calls that we make, data, our voice communication happens over internet. And when we have 5G, then we can see this internet speed is going to go up to 1 gigabit. In fact, is going to up to 10 gigabit per second speed over mobile. And then there, of course, it is based on internet, and there are other like it supports IoT. It means that it can connect to large number of endpoints. All right, so we will not go into this diagram. So basic concept again is as follows. We have concept of base station. So this is base station, which we also call as BTS. Okay. So this base station from emits signals and receives also signals from mobile phones, like this is a mobile phone. Okay. All right, at a given frequency range, this we have already discussed. Multiple base station use the same spectrum. So basically, we have seen that, like the one shown here in red and the red here, they use the same frequency ranges. So frequency reuse happens. All right. And cell is nothing but the service area of each base station. This base station covers this area. This we call as base. All right. Concept is very simple. Now we have a cell here. Cell is connected to mobile switching center. Okay, sometimes we have a two-level thing. We call it BSC and MSC. We'll see that. That's another configuration. Okay, and then these actually are interconnected, this mobile switching center, and they are also connected to the outside network like PSTN network. All right. So within a cell, there can be large number of mobiles that can be that can communicate with cell tower. Okay, but important thing is that number of phones that can be connected at a point has to be limited, because the whole capacity of cell is limited. Okay, all right, any question? Okay, all right, let's move ahead then. So note that in your mobile phone communication, what portion is wireless and what portion is non-wireless? While it appears to us that I am talking to you, for example, on my mobile phone, it appears to me that all my phone communication happens over air. Fact of the matter is that the mobile communication over air is only from my mobile phone to the cell tower, which is maybe just few hundred meters away. And from there, all the communication, say for example, I'm making a phone call to you and you are in New York, all the communication from cell tower to New York up to the cell tower to which you are connected to happens over wire line, over wire. It could be fiber or it could be whatever. Okay, and then from that cell tower, the signal go to your phone over air. So air part is very small and limited, and most of the communication happens over wire at the back end. Is it clear?
So, but why is the reason for choosing wired communication? Like, why can't we use wireless in talking also?
Why we use wireless in office?
No, sir. Like I'm asking, like we are using wired from radio tower to radio tower, right? So
Hmm.
why can't we use like wireless in that also?
Oh, because frequency is expensive. That's one reason. And second is that wire. See why we are changing the cell size, because we want to accommodate more and more, right? So the first thing is that if we have to do it over wire, all the communication here to New York, we have to have bandwidth. Somebody has to sell you frequencies. And secondly, that's one reason that you cannot do this in a cost effective manner. And you don't have frequencies, right? Airtel has frequency over only over say India, and certain areas may not have, all over the world. That's one reason. Second reason is that one important characteristic of signal over over wireless, it fades away, because in that frequency range you will have to see how long the signal can travel, and so on, right? So there is a lot of signal attenuation or degradation, right? That's another reason. Third is that wire come, ultimately everything is going over internet, and you need huge amount of bandwidth to carry whole world's traffic, and fiber can carry terabytes of data without any difficulty. So it is not only cheap, it's also efficient, and also less error prone. That's the reason, and you don't need to, you can share it, right? I mean, for example, somebody has put in, Airtel has put in cable between say India and say some other Singapore or somewhere. So anybody, you can also buy a bandwidth in that fiber. So it's very easy to share, it's cheap, it's reliable, and so on. That's the reason all over the world, most of the communication happens over wire, excepting for end part, last phase happens over wireless. Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
So cellular communication use TDMA and FDMA or CDMA. We are not going to get into this because this requires going deep into concept. So just remember that some modulation technologies are used. Now there is some concept of handoff which I want to discuss, or handover. Both are same. Sometimes we call it handover or handoff. So there is one cell, and I am here using my mobile phone. Okay, so I am connected to this tower, and I am communicating with somebody outside. Okay, so my phone is going to MSC, and from there to PSCN network and going somewhere. Doesn't matter. I am walking and I cross this boundary. I come to another cell. Okay, I am still at the boundary somewhere here. So my signal that I am still connected to this tower. What will happen now? My signal become weaker and weaker, right? Okay, and then when it's still further up, then I will lose connection. But that is not, that's desirable, right? I should remain connected. Hence, there's a concept of handover or handoff. Okay, when this happens, when crossing a cell boundary while continuing on the call, I am continuing my call and I'm crossing the boundary. Okay, so it's usually okay. So all right, so when I am here in the cell, then I am controlled under this tower. Okay, so when I'm little away, when I cross the cell boundary, this tower notices that I'm going away to different cell. Okay, then the base station here, that the tower here, asks the surrounding base station if they are getting stronger signal from me. So it will ask its neighbor, for example, it will ask this and many others which are adjacent whether they are getting stronger signal from me. Okay, then say this guy will respond, the guy here will respond that he's getting stronger signal. Then this guy will control the call to this one. It means now I will start communicating with this phone, this tower or this base station without disconnection. The process of then transferring my call to adjacent cell or the base station adjacent cell is called handoff or handover. Okay, and this was a great innovation that I can continue to move in my car. I cross the boundary of one cell, get into another cell without any disruption in my connection. That's the beauty. Okay, that's called handoff. All right, any question?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Now let's look at evolution of these networks. So initially, of course, we didn't discuss 1G because it was analog. We are starting with 2G. 2G is simple. We have base station. Here we call it BTS. Okay, base transceiver station. Sometimes we can also call it base station. And there is a cell around that. All cellular system, mobile phone communication system will have a cell. Okay, so these are the cell, adjacent cells. Okay, and these are connected to base station. Now BSC, base station controller, manages these cell towers or cell base stations, right? So it means that it decides who will use what frequency, what is going to be cell size, and so on, so forth, right? And they are in turn connected to, it means that one base station controller can control a certain number of base stations, right? So this BSC will control these base stations, and they are in turn connected to MSC, mobile switching center. And role of mobile switching center is in fact to look at the who is connecting, what should be connection like. It will use user authentication, routing of calls, and all that complicated things, right? And if the call is going to different operator, or suppose you are making phone call to Airtel to Vodafone or Airtel to PSTN, then it will go over gateway MSC, which connects to outside world. When you're making call from Airtel to Airtel, then it will go from one MSC to another MSC and then route it, right? So the system also looks something like this, that we have, of course, we have cell stations here, cell here, connected to base station controller is connected to MSC that we have seen here, right? And then there are certain number of databases, because database have to there, right? You cannot get into, suppose you have a subscriber of Airtel, you cannot log into Vodafone network. Your Vodafone will have cell, you cannot. Okay, you are allowed to enter only into Airtel cells. Okay, so somebody must have record about you, that you are authorized to get into it, right? And you are legal user of that. All these things are there in some databases, which we call as HLR. Okay, uh, and so basically it's a database containing all information about me, and it is there in my home location. So right now my mobile phone is bound to a location in Marthahalli in Bangalore. Okay, so there must be switching center here, MSC, and that will have data about me, that I am local user of that. Okay, but when I go to Goa, IIT Goa, then there, when I log in, when I connect to the station or network there must be also a database that I am visiting this place. That's called VLR. So this called HLR is where my home station will have data about me. VLR will have, which is a visitor location register, will have data about me when I'm visiting some place. Okay, so now let's see how does it work overall. So component is of course BTS that we have seen, base station. Okay, it connects to different mobile. Okay, and receives signal from mobile and send signal to mobile phone. Okay, all right. Okay, so BSC we have seen. Then okay, then we have MSC, which does authorization and accounting, call establishment, tear down, handoff management, and all that. Okay, uh, and then we have HLR, which is master database containing all user data. And then we have visitor location register. When I go somewhere else, say I go to New York, then the visitor location register of that location of that operator will contain data about me. Okay, so and there is a process that they will know my data from my home location register and so on, right? So they will have all the data because ultimately I will be billed for all that. So let's look at how all this happens. Very brief. Okay, suppose, okay, somebody is calling me from a PSTN line. Somebody here, a person is here, is making a phone call to me over PSTN. Okay, so now this is coming from outside network, so it will go to GMSC, Gateway MSC. All right, so Gateway MSC will receive the call. Okay, I am a GSM subscriber, a mobile subscriber, you think that way, because this call flow is about GSM, but the concept is the same even for 3G or 4G. Now the MSC will look at whom, what, to what number it's being called. Suppose you are sitting in PSTN phone calling me, then the Gateway MSC will know that 9741 is of Bangalore, and it, because these numbers are also kind of attached to certain area. Okay, so it will know that this is, they will see that this number belongs to say Airtel, and then they will attach to Airtel GMSC. Okay, and then Airtel, once the call comes here, it will know that I based on my number, I am from Bangalore and then this particular region, right? And this is my HLR, home location register. So it will query my home location register about me. Okay, so it will set up a call to HLR. Okay, this is number 3. Number 4, 5, it request the some mobile roaming number from VLR. Okay. So what happens that HLR will know that I am not in Bangalore. Okay, so then it will ask where I am. For example, I am right now in Mysore. So my home location register in Bangalore will say that I am will know that where I am, because there is a registration process. Will okay, so it will know that I'm in Mysore. So it will query that VLR about my whereabouts. Okay, and I will, that VLR will respond back. Okay, now that information, that where exactly in Mysore I am, because Mysore is also a big place, so where exactly in Mysore I am will be responded back to GMSC. Okay, okay, so we are here now at this place. The next thing is that now this GMSC will send try to forward the call to current MSC. So I may be there in Mysore in some connected to some area MSC. Okay, one MSC may control maybe 20-kilometer area. Okay, so it will connect to that MSC, and that MSC doesn't know exactly under what cell I am. Okay, because there may be 50 such cells or 100 such cells, right? So what it does is that now this MSC send this call, forwards this call to all base stations in that area, and then those base stations do paging. The paging is like an SMS over air. It will flood this. All these base station will send a SMS over air, and your mobile phone will listen to that and respond back. Okay, once this response, you will suppose I am here, it will respond back. Then this MSC will know that I am here, and then it will establish a call to me. So note that this is extremely complex phenomena. So for example, when I first move from Bangalore to Mysore, I log in, I try to log in, it will say Airtel will give me temporary connection. In fact, it will check my credential. It will first query HLR in Bangalore whether I am a genuine user. Once they get authentication is approved, then they will allow me to connect to their network. In this whole process, the HLR, my home location register, will know where I am. Okay, so when the call comes to me from somebody in Goa is calling me thinking that I am in Bangalore, first call will go to my HLR. HLR will tell that I am not here. It will then try to get information, whatever old information, it will contact that visitor location visitor location register database in Mysore. That will respond back, yes, I am here, and that is my temporary address. Now that MSC will connect me to that particular exchange in Mysore, and then that will do paging using BSCs, and my mobile phone Alive will respond back, yes, I am into this area, and then call connection will happen. This is how it happens. Okay, any question? Is it becoming clear, or I am just too fast? Okay. So these are some performance characteristics of GSM. We'll skip that. So limitation of 2G was what we discussed was actually voice phone communication. It had no internet connectivity, etc. GPRS came in 2.5G that we discussed, and technology moved from 1G to 3G this way. Okay, and we can see these technologies were used. And when we move to 3G, we can see that the data communication started happening, but we had the separate network. We had one network for voice. This was the network for voice. However, this was the network for data. So at the BSC, or the first interface of base station, there was split. If this is data communication or internet communication, it went to internet network. Otherwise, it went to voice network. That was the only difference. Okay, and then and there are various nodes in that, SGSN, GGSN. Please go through the slide set. Okay, and then when we move to 4G, one beautiful thing happened is that now we have single network. Okay, so the something on top shows 3G, something at bottom shows 4G. So we can see in 3G there is one network for voice and other network for data. Okay, and this split is happening at BSC. While in 4G there is only one network, which is like everything is happening over internet. Okay, IP. Remember that there's the only difference. And of course, as we are moving to 4G, 3D to 4G, so this is 3G with two networks, one voice network, one data network. While here we have just one network, okay, in 4G. Only thing that we see is that it's all IP core and the bandwidth is increasing. Okay, that's the only difference. And when we move to 5G, then the requirements are that bandwidth for each user should be 10 times. It means that you should be able to use 10 gigabit per second kind of data. 10 gigabit is something very, very high, right? Even my broadband connection at home is 100 Mbps. Okay. And 1 millisecond latency, it means that overall delay between two endpoints should be less than 1 millisecond. It means that almost real time communication. So a surgeon sitting in New York can do operation through a robot controlled over internet, connected over internet in Bangalore. It's possible. And there should be very high availability. It means that network should be available almost 100% of time. Okay. So these are the basic requirements and is being is coming, right? And you can see how much bandwidth, right? If you compare 4G, this is what we are here or somewhere here, and this is the difference. Or even the Advanced ones are
Sir?
for, yeah.
Actually, electrical students have class from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m.
Okay, chalo.
So,
I'm closing now. All right.
thank you.
Thank you.